Hello everybody, Dokkan Assets here. Today we are back with another Dragon Ball figure news video, and you thought I was gonna make you wait 2 weeks for a figure news video on these prize figures? Nah, you already know your boy got you, baby. Of course, we are going to be taking a look at the July high quality production images. If you guys are unaware, we have been looking at this schedule for a little while now for a bunch of the upcoming stuff that we are going to be getting in July. And we now have a bunch of different images of everything that we're going to be getting. And we'll also be looking at a couple of different things here as well. So let's get into it. First of all, very cool. We have a Cooler and a Goku, I believe, if memory serves. Yes, this is the Matchmakers ones. Super awesome, if I do say so myself. I actually really like the fact that they chose these two poses for Cooler and Goku, obviously doing the Supernova and of course pushing the attack back, which funny enough is literally what I said in the video when I was talking about these, you know, when we didn't know what they were going to look like. And funny enough, somebody actually had the same thought as me, because I mentioned this on Twitter myself, but Baggy also made a tweet about this. It looks like we're getting unofficial Dokkan collab figures with Cooler and Goku, right? So obviously, you know, it's maybe not necessarily based on Dokkan because, of course, right, they literally make these poses in the movie. But it is a little bit, you know, uncanny how almost one-to-one they are in terms of, like, the exact pose that they hit. Obviously, Cooler's arm is a little bit different here and his hand isn't out, but it is extremely similar, right? So it is going to be very curious to see if they do decide to use some art from Dokkan for Gogeta and Broly, right? That would be awesome because obviously we haven't gotten Dokkan collab figures since the 7th anniversary figure art 0, excuse me, Gogeta, right? The Super Saiyan 4 one. So it'd be really cool to get figures in these poses because obviously it's like, oh, it's the Dokkan pose, but they just don't have to call it that. So that is pretty cool if they do decide to go down that route. Sorry if you heard that, by the way. I have my speakers on right now. So very interesting if they do decide to go that route. But besides Goku and Cooler, this was a figure that I was really looking forward to. This is the GX Materia TN. Oh man, I am really looking forward to this guy. First of all, this is obviously a super iconic TN scene. So very cool that they are giving the boy some love. And this figure looks awesome, I will say. As much as I hate to say it, I do feel like the effects on GX Materia figures have kind of gotten a little bit less wonderful, less great over time. It just seems like a lot of the time now, they went from like a line where it's like, oh, this super cool thing with a bunch of effects and, you know, Kamehamehas and all these crazy different ki blasts and stuff, to now it's like, oh, you get a little extra plastic effect with the figure, which is kind of unfortunate, right? And it really feels like, you know, that has been a lot more consistent as of more of the recent GX Materia stuff. However, the thing that I will say that is very good and, you know, definitely should not be taken for granted is that at least the figure still looks fantastic, which is no surprise because obviously the boy Varroque Varquo, still don't know how to pronounce it. I was going to say it, but then I chose the other word. Yeah, my boy, right, is obviously a fantastic sculptor, so it does not surprise me that the figure looks really good. And, like, there are not many TN figures. I know in recent time we did get a Ichiban Kuji one, so we do have that one that is a little bit more of a quote-unquote modern one, but you know, all things considered, obviously we don't have one, at least that I can think of, in terms of the modern day where he's doing the tri-beam. So that is honestly very exciting, if I do say so myself, and the figure looks great, right? I mean, I guess to be fair, I don't really know what else they would have done for the tri-beam effect, because obviously it's such a small little effect that, you know, well, I don't know, maybe they could have just made it bigger and more impactful. We'll have to see what it looks like in obviously more like 3 dimensions when we get multi-angles on these guys. But for now, right, obviously this looks really good. And then, of course, dude, they actually cooked so hard. I can't believe they did such a good job with this guy. We, of course, have the Solid Edgeworks Cell. This guy looks awesome. I might actually pick up this guy. Obviously, the Solid Edgeworks line has been cooking again with the walking forward meme that they've been doing for a little bit, which is really, really cool. So this guy actually looks fantastic. And if we go back to the calendar, you probably remember the fact that on here, it said Solid Edgeworks Departure 5 again. So it was like, oh, well, you know, what is the figure going to be? And they're actually re-releasing the Solid Edgeworks Gohan, except the re-release now has some shading on it. This is definitely very, very similar looking, right? And I think that the details will be a lot more apparent once you actually compare the two figures side by side. But you can kind of tell a little bit that in the arms and, you know, in basically like the crevices of this figure, right, there is a little bit more shading than here where you can see it's not as consistent, or not as consistent, it's not as present rather. Obviously, it is going to be really hard to tell. Honestly, I could even be mixing up these images. I'm pretty sure this is the new one. But this could actually be the new one. It is very hard to tell the difference. But I am going to venture to guess that as we get more images of these guys, it's going to be very easy to then obviously be able to tell the difference with the shading and not shading. But that is great, because that was, I know, a complaint that a lot of people had about this figure, that the sculpt is very good. But obviously the fact that it didn't have the shading was kind of like a little stinky. So definitely might actually cop this guy with the re-release. So I think this is a very good batch of figures, to be honest. And I actually wanted to pull up this image right here, I believe, right? Yeah, Baggy was mentioning too, unfortunately, right, the effects have just kind of been getting worse and worse. But I wanted to pull up this picture right here. Now, obviously, right, the scale will not be like this. It'll be interesting to see, you know, how these two actually scale together, all things considered. But having these two walking forward in some kind of setup, right, will be awesome. I definitely am really, really looking forward to doing some kind of setup like that. So that will be really, really cool to have these two next to each other. Yeah, I think I did mix them up, because this one looks like the one that was on the left. Anyway, though, that is what we got for these production images for the July figures. I am really, really excited to see more angles of these guys. Obviously, we'll get multi-angles within the next couple days, I believe. Don't quote me on that, but I will probably include that when we obviously do the figure news recap, the bi-weekly one, you know, every 2 weeks. Obviously, I just wanted to cover this because obviously this just dropped now. There is one more thing that I actually did want to talk about in this video, because it is really, really cool. And we also did mention it at the end of the last video. Of course, we talked about the fact that the SH Figuarts UI Goku, the Toyotaro version, is releasing this month in Japan, and for us here in the States, it will be next month. And I was actually able to find this Facebook post where basically this person, Isaac Wong, I think I've seen them around. I'm pretty sure I've seen them like post stuff on Facebook before for various different Dragon Ball figures. And we have a bunch of pictures of the Toyotaro UI Goku to look at. So I wanted to include this in here. First of all, closed eye face looks pretty good. I feel like his eyes are almost like too close together or something like that, but it definitely doesn't look too bad. And here, by the way, there's going to be a bunch of comparisons with this figure on the right here is the original release of the Mastered Ultra Instinct Goku, and the one on the left is the Toyotaro version. So you're going to notice that the hair obviously is a lot more detailed on the Toyotaro version, and the bodies are basically the same rather. This is pretty cool, obviously comparing the different faces to each other, right? Obviously the screaming head, the gritting teeth head, the kind of neutral face, and then the looking to the side face. It's interesting that they picked the exact same expressions. And then, of course, that eye closed face as well. Dude, the packaging looks amazing, if I do say so myself. This is easily one of the best packagings for a SH Figuarts figure that I have ever seen. I don't think the book comes in the box. It looks like this is an actual separate thing that you get, which is really, really interesting. Obviously, the book is a lot bigger than the box, but of course this, right, is just kind of like, oh, I see. This must be actually, yeah, this is the back. this is the entire thing that then contains this smaller box and the book within it. That is pretty cool. Yeah, so here's a comparison between the old and the new box, right? As you can see, obviously, because this is a special version, they are given a little bit more love in that regard. And of course, the cool thing about the Toyotaro version of this guy is that you can see here, they are giving you a windswept hair piece up at the top there, as well as the standard MUI hair. Now, the very interesting thing about this guy, right, is that obviously the face plates are the same. And as you can see, even though the hands are positioned differently, they are different, right? You have the standard battle pose hands, you have the grippy hands, and then you have the open palm hands. And I guess obviously you can include the fists, which come on the figure. Now, of course, the only thing that doesn't come with this original MUI Goku, or rather that Toyotaro doesn't come with it, the original Goku did, is of course the Kamehameha part, which is kind of unfortunate, to be honest. And I only say that because, like, man, this guy cost 90 bucks, and that was also partially because of the book. And I know a lot of people talked about, well, I wonder if they just included the book just to jack up the price of the figure, but they quite literally could have just left the Kamehameha in there, right? Like, they could have just not even changed it whatsoever and just left it exactly the same and just kept it in the box, right? But, of course, Bandai will be Bandai and is a little bit lazy in that regard. Because what's ironic is even though you're getting one less effect, this guy of the Toyotaro version costs a lot more than the original does. Now, again, with that being said, right, of course, you do get the book. By the way, looking at these two, let's look at some more images to see if we have some out-of-the-box side-by-sides. Yeah, so when it comes to these two, they literally just took the original figure and gave him new heads, right? That is quite literally what they did, right? They didn't change anything about the body, you know, for the most part. It is clear that they changed the coloring a little bit. The orange is a lot lighter on the new Toyotaro version, which I actually quite like that shade of orange better for Goku's pants than the, like, more, like, anime orange version of it. But it does look, I will say, I swear the body is, like, slightly different, but that could also just be my brain being like, oh, it's new, so it looks a little bit more different. But I swear, like, the scuff marks are a little bit more defined, and it kind of looks a little bit more different on the top half in terms of the coloring, so that is very interesting. But yeah, obviously in terms of sculpt, though, besides, of course, the head, these figures are the exact same. You know, they quite literally just took the original body and then, you know, put some new heads on it, so I mean, not a bad idea, right? Obviously, this is the new head. Not a bad idea. Yeah, and then, of course, the windswept. Because, of course, a lot of people don't have that original MUI Goku. So it kind of makes sense, right? That, all things considered, that they would re-release this guy. Not to mention, obviously, pretty cool that they are, you know, giving him a little bit of a buff when it comes to the head sculpts. So, very, very cool. I am honestly really excited to get this figure. Obviously, I will be doing a unboxing video of this guy myself. I don't have the original Goku for MUI, so I'm actually really excited to get this guy. I do think, personally, I really like the head sculpt, like the hair, a lot more on the Toyotaro version than I do the original. So that is pretty cool. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Which one do you prefer? Do you have the original MUI Goku? This was just something that I wanted to include in here because I thought that it was really, really cool that we finally have some awesome images of this guy, and I can't wait to see the pictures that people take with this guy. It's going to be great. And thank you guys so much for watching. Let me know what you thought of all of the figures in the comment section below. Let me know which one you are the most excited for. Honestly, I think I'm the most excited for Cooler and Goku. Maybe even Tien more. Like, Tien is just because Farouk's sculpts, his sculpts are insane. He's so good, right? But obviously, the Cooler and Goku combo is going to be really, really cool. And I like as well on Goku, they gave him a lot more of that puffy hair look as well, too. It's a lot more reminiscent of that, like, Namek Saga era. So that is really, really cool to see. Thank you guys so much for watching. I will catch you in the next one. Dokkan Assets out. Peace.